And welcome back to another episode of the Media Boat Podcast, your weekly episodes for movies, TV, music, and video games, not necessarily in that order. My name is Mike. His name is Matt.
My name is Matt. His name is Mike. Thank you for joining us on this remote version of the Media Boat Podcast. Mike has somewhere to be tomorrow. I just got a COVID booster and a flu shot in my arm, so we're doing this on a Friday night for all y'all, recorded style. But thanks for listening.
Yep, you get an episode a day early. You get to enjoy a little staycations.
Yeah, of sorts. So yeah, today is September the 23rd, 2022. So thank you for joining us. You have our episode number?
350.
Is it really 350?
Yes, according to podcasting.
Wow.
Podbean. It is officially 350. So, you know what this means? Next year.
Yep.
Another 50 episodes.
Yep. We'll get to 400 next year. How exciting. But that's year ahead of us. Right now, Let's focus on...
I just put that in my head. That's going to be about Labor Day, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
A Labor Day 400 spectacular?
That's pretty good.
I think so.
Pretty good. Maybe we'll have some guests and do a whole thing for it.
Make it a thing.
Make it a thing. All right, speaking of things, we got a lot of things to talk about. So why don't you give us a head start on the music section?
Yep, and we start this podcast with the music section, and we always start the music section with the Billboard Hot 100. And as it was the Billboard Hot 100 in the summer, as it was Harry Styles, as it was, once again, your number one song.
I think we'll continue. Yeah, we'll probably continue seeing him up here for the duration because he's currently on tour. And also his movie just came out. Harry Styles is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, speaking of his tour, he's now got a banner in Madison Square Garden, the new Madison Square Garden, the one that got rebuilt.
Yes.
So, yay.
He's everywhere, whether you
I don't know how I feel about that. It was just like the same thing with like the Taylor Swift banner in a crypto center. I don't know how I feel about that one.
Well, that you've got personal team baggage for that one. We'll talk more about Taylor later on the podcast.
Yes, we will. But coming in at number 2 on your Hot 100, Bad Habits by Steve Lacy. At 3, Super Freaky Girl by Nicki Minaj. Coming in at 4, Sunroof by Nicki Yor and Daisy. And rounding out your top 5, I Like You, a happier song by Post Malone featuring Doja Cat.
Yeah, honestly, I'm shocked that it took this long for this to be a top 5 single. This is off the record, which we talked about here in the podcast. I thought it was the most singly of the songs here, especially with Doja Cat being on it. So to finally see it show up, I was like, all right, about time, Post Malone. But yeah, here he is.
Yeah, finally breaking into the top 5. As for your Billboard 200, your albums chart, staying at number 1, Un Verano Sin Ti by Bad Bunny is your number 1 album yet again. Coming in at 2, Demons Protected by Angels by Nav. At 3, Patient Number 9 by Ozzy Osbourne. I think this is debuting at number 9.
I believe so. And number 9.
At number 3. Debuting at number 3, Patient Number 9.
3. Number 9.
And then at number 4, Dangerous, the double album by Morgan Wallen. And rounding out your top 5, Different Man by Kane Brown. 2 country albums up in the top 5.
Yeah, well, for Kane Brown, country-esque.
Country-esque.
Country-inspired.
Yeah.
Cool. That was your...
Yep, those are your top 5 albums. If you didn't like any of those albums, we have new releases. Including, this is a name from the past, Fosora by Bjork.
Yes, Bjork.
That Bjork. Sold separately,
or
all dollar signs,
or $old, $old, $separately
by Freddie Gibbs. Louis, all caps, by Kenny Beats. Free LSD by Off,
I don't
all
think you
caps,
get that
and an exclamation point.
I don't think that comes with the purchase of the album, though.
No. But it may get you to buy the album in a store, like steal this album. We also have Doggerel by Pixies. Crazy Times by Sammy Hagar and The Circle. Yes, that's Sammy Hagar. Nymph by Shy Girl. The End, So Far by Slipknot.
That's such a good name. Like, that's such a good name. I'm sad that it's wasted on a Slipknot record. That's such a good name. The End, So Far.
The Love That's Ours by The Big Pink. The Will to Live by Titus Andronicus. And lastly, Cool It Down by Yeah Yeah Yeahs.
Yes.
Yeah. Those
yeah.
yes.
Their first new music in a long time, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. And that was the joke.
You couldn't commit to the rule of threes there. You're just like, nope, yep.
Yep. All right. And let's go right into our music news. And we start with music bits. The bits. And we start with a little bit of a callback.
Yeah.
The previous story that we talked about, the American Music Fairness Act. Well, the Senate is officially going to hear about it now.
Yes.
So the American Music Fairness Act, if you don't recall, aims to ensure artists and music creators receive fair compensation for their use of songs on AM and FM radio.
So this is specifically to get what's the word? Royalties for radio play, which, yes, you're probably thinking, if you're under the age of 40, you're probably thinking, like, wait a minute, I just assumed that they were getting royalties for radio play. Well, no. Apparently, for the decades and decades upon decades of radio play, artists have never seen direct money for that. It's just a marketing tool to get their music more widespread. This will change that. This, if passed, will turn it into the same money-making format as streaming is and record sales. So, for example, streaming, like, you get a certain amount of percentage of a cent every time a stream happens. Some similar structure will be designed for radio.
It'll be structured into law, hopefully.
Yeah. And hopefully also it's more generous to the artist than the streaming structure is. Hopefully that language is in this bill, and hopefully they'll get a good deal out of this.
Well, that's the hope. We'll see if it passes.
We'll see.
Yep. Next up in the bits, Shakira, which we talked about with her tax fraud allegations, is calling it a fictional and says, this is probably the darkest hour of my life. This is Shakira finally responding to these allegations publicly.
So yes, we reported previously that she is under investigation in Spain for tax fraud. So I read the article. This quote comes from a whole bunch of stuff she had to say about these accusations. Basically, yes, saying that they're fictional, saying that that's not true, that she doesn't owe Spain anything. And that, this has led to her and her family having to deal with a lot of unnecessary press, a lot of unnecessary paparazzi all around this accusation. So that's why she has that quote there. Though she does go on to clarify that statement and say that she understands that there are probably people out there that are, in worse situations in their lives, and she doesn't want to compare her situation to that of somebody maybe in a worse spot. That being said, it's a bad place to be in if she is correct here and she doesn't actually owe the Spanish government. It sucks to be kind of under this much scrutiny. That being said, if she did, it's hard because it's hard for us to know what's actually going on with Shakira's finances. But yeah, this is just a little update on that story to get her side of the story before it eventually goes into litigation, as I'm sure it will.
Yeah, this sounds more like an accountant issue, but we'll find out in court.
Yeah, we'll see.
Moving into the countryside of things.
Yes.
Maren Morris has said that she will officially not be attending the CMAs. following the ongoing online feud between Jason and Brittany Aldean.
Well, her and the Aldeans, and also who we'll talk about in just a moment, Kelsea Ballerini, everybody who kind of joined in the fracas. Yeah, this is probably smart of Marin. She doesn't need to go to the CMAs. Even though I personally think her record should have a shot, I don't think it does at that kind of award show. And yeah, the Aldeans will be there because of course they will. So you know what? She doesn't want to go. She doesn't want to go. And it's probably wise of her not to be involved in a in-person confrontation with anyone who is on the side of Brittany Aldean. It's just, it adds unnecessary drama to a show that I'm sure the people putting it on don't want that kind of attention drawn to it. I mean, typically these things, they want to keep it as politically untouched as possible.
At a country show? What do you mean?
Yeah, I know. It's almost like they don't want to piss off 90% of their audience or something. I don't know, maybe. And so yeah, so she knows this is the smartest choice for her and for the production of the show and for everybody involved. Don't drag this drama into a venue when you don't need to. And
right.
So this is
don't put Maren Morris in the middle of this.
Yes. Exactly. So yeah, good call on her part, I think, to avoid country's biggest night. What truly is country's biggest night at this point? They all claim that it's country's biggest night.
The CMAs claimed it's country's biggest night. Even during CMA Fest, it's country's biggest night.
So wait, is the concert country's biggest night or the award show country's biggest night? They can't both be country's biggest night. They're two different nights.
Unless it all happens in the same night, then yes.
Well, they haven't done that, so.
No, they don't
also,
do that. No,
what does that make the
CMT
awards? What does that make the ACMs? Is that country's biggest night?
I think it's America's vote.
What about the first night of Stagecoach? Is that country's biggest night?
No, that's the closing night. We all know that.
Fair enough. Anyways,
country beef continues to follow country music.
delicious. I love country beef.
Yes, it does.
Farm source, farm to table.
Horse to table, farm to table.
Horse to table. I'm not eating horse.
Of course.
Of course not.
Of course not a horse. All right. Moving on in the bits. Sony, yes, that's Sony, typically of movies, TV, and video game fame, has pledged 71% of its social justice fund announced back in 2020 to over 400 community organizations worldwide.
Yes. So way back in June of 2020, we did report on this. Sony made this claim that they're going to put this social justice fund into works, and it would be $100 million towards social justice projects, I guess you could say, in the music industry. And yeah, they say that they've spent 71% of that money so far. 400 different organizations have been paid. And yeah, that means that they have a little bit more even of that 100 million still to give out. So cool. I mean, do I wish they were a little more specific with where the money went to? Of course, but you know what? It's something, and maybe this is going good to people who need it, communities that need it. And if that's the case, then Sony did what they promised, which is pretty cool.
Yep. Still just under $400,000 to give away there, but
yeah, but hey, not chump change.
No, not chump change at all. It's what, so 71% of a million is 700,000.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of funding. And lastly, to round out
100 million.
Oh, 100 million?
So that's yeah. That's a lot more than what you said.
Yeah, that's 71 million then.
Yeah. Big difference.
Yes.
Like I said, not chump change.
That's not chump change at all.
Anyway.
Anyways, because we always follow the rumor mill that is the Taylor Swift rumor mill.
Well, half of this is not a rumor. Half the rumor we'll get to, I think, we'll punt that to the sports section later.
Okay. We'll punt that to sports section. But first, Taylor Swift officially has started to announce tracks for her upcoming album, Midnight, via TikTok bingo style ball shuffler.
Yeah,
Wait,
so
the album's Midnight or Midnights?
Midnights, plural.
Okay, plural.
So yeah,
Multiple
Midnights,
Midnights.
which comes out in proper in October on the 21st. Taylor Swift had previously said there are going to be 13 tracks. She released album art with the track names not specified. So, of course, that gives her an opportunity to, over a period of time, reveal the names of those tracks. And that's exactly what she's doing on our TikTok channel. So if you go so far, she has 2 of those videos. She's calling Midnight's Mayhem with Me. A lot of alliteration there. And every episode of it goes up at midnight and on whatever day it premieres. And it's just, yeah, it's her by herself or sometimes with her cat, cranking one of those bingo thing full of balls. And whenever track number comes out, she names the track name. So far we've gotten 2 track names. We've gotten the final track, number 13, which will be called Masterminds. Or Mastermind, singular? I think singular, Mastermind.
Singular.
And then track 8, Vigilante Shit. Yes, that is the name of the song. That sounds to me like a sequel track to Evermore's No Body, No Crime, but I'm not a Taylor Swift expert.
No, it sounds like a sequel track to Bad Blood.
Maybe also true. You get the squad back together. It is still unclear what this thing is going to sound like. You have a lot of people trying to spread the rumor that it is her rock record. We'll see. And yeah, we'll talk about additional rumors pertaining to Taylor Swift's future in the next few months in the sports section.
Yes, we'll get to there.
Yes.
When we get there, I guess we don't want to do it here.
No.
Keep you on the hang there. So, any other news that came out?
That's, I think, what I found for music this week.
Just a heads up for those of you in the Los Angeles area or planning to travel to the Los Angeles area, this upcoming Tuesday is the LA version of the Taylor Hawkins concert.
Yes.
It's on Tuesday. That will not be live streamed. At least I have not seen anything that says otherwise.
Right.
So that is part 2. That is the only US show for that. If you're planning on making it, please send a ticket our way.
Yeah. Also, of course, if you're probably yelling at your podcast machine or computer screen right now, no, I'm not talking about Adam Levine. Move on.
I've seen so many memes of that I've never seen the actual source.
Yeah, you don't need to.
I get it, but also
you got it.
I don't want to.
You just have to look at Adam Levine once to think, oh yeah, of course he's cheating on his wife. Let's move on and talk about something else. You listen to the aforementioned Kelsea Ballerini.
Yes, and she is put out a new album that is subject to change. Not that the album is going to change. That is just the name of the album, subject to change.
I want to note, I almost listened to this record, and by that I mean I only got 2 songs into it before some other stuff happened. Well, really, it was so I could go on the TV and watch the season 2 premiere of Abbot Elementary. But yes, so I did not listen to this in full, but I liked the first couple of songs. So what was your feelings about Subject to Change?
So remember how we were talking about a couple weeks back that country 90s is back?
Yes, very much so.
Well, guess what Kelsea Ballerini did?
Yes.
Country 90s is back. Lots of 90s country vibes. Lots of Leanne Womack in here. Lots of Leanne Rhymes. Lots of high riding. For some reason, I got Christina Aguilera vibes as well. Like 90s, Genie in a Bottle, and
Sure.
a reflection in this as well.
Yeah.
At times, a lot of it did feel very similar to her old songs. Like I thought she was going to break into them at any point now. But
she has didn't. A style. She has a style.
But it's not even just the style. It's just the songwriting. It's, yeah, you're right. That is part of the style. What am I talking about? It's just that she's found her niche now. She's found her groove coming off of her wins for her last album. So know what she's doing now, and this is like her. All right, you wanted this. It's just more of it. I did really enjoy it, if you can't tell.
Yeah.
It was just okay. It was
Okay.
more of the 90s stuff. Some of it was good.
I mean,
Some
it
of it
seems
wasn't.
like
I
from what
like
I can
the
tell.
when it got to the end, it got more like new country, not this 90s country. I really liked it, like Maryland.
Yeah.
Like just towards the end. I think it's also on the Maryland soundtrack.
Yeah. I think
That song I
ultimately
liked.
it sounds like she's staying in her wheelhouse, is what it sounds like, not really evolving as much as maybe you'd want her to. She's not trying to play catch up with Miranda or Haley or Casey. She's trying to basically be like, I'm gonna do my own thing, or Marin.
Or
She's
Marin
trying to
for that.
do her own thing, which happens to be very derivative of previous artists, and it works for her though. It's probably one of the reasons why she has had the staying power she has. I think.
She's following in the Miranda Lambert footsteps, which is good, except Miranda Lambert keeps making music herself.
Well, also, well, not specifically. Honest, I don't want to wade into whether or not how much of it just she wrote or how much of this she wrote with other people. I don't want to go there because I don't know. But what I will say is that it seems like on the surface level, Miranda is more willing to experiment, and she's more willing to like change up every record and be what every record is exactly. Maybe Kelsea Ballerini is not going to do that. Maybe that's just not what she's comfortable doing. And you know what? If it works for her, it works for her. But I get what you're saying, because I've also had a similar experience with artists where I'm just like, all right, we're on album 3 or 4 now. Can we do something a little? Can we jazz this up a little? Can we spice this up a little? Because, as you said, if you're getting songs where like, oh, it sounds like they're going to go into a song from 2 records ago, not exactly a great sign. It just means that you maybe are too much into your creative rut. Maybe you need to branch out. Maybe this next record, maybe she needs to do something a little bit more adventurous.
Right. It's the playing safe versus like experimenting.
Right. Right. But in country, it's harder because country is such an institution. If you play around too much, then you get the backlash. Probably more so than any other genre that I can think of off the top of my head. If you go out of that comfort zone for a lot of country fans, those fans are going to be like, what are they doing? They're messing up with their formula. Like, I just wanted them to sound like they used to, kind of stuff.
Right, and that's how you get Taylor Swift going, just focusing on pop songs.
Yeah, that's why one of the reasons you're right, why she bailed on the genre was she was like, it's too limiting. She wanted to do more with what her sound could offer. So yeah, maybe Kelsea Ballerini will get there, or maybe she'll just be in this wheelhouse forever. Some artists have, especially in country, have made a career on doing more or less the same thing. I'm talking about you, Kenny Chesney.
Mm-hmm.
It's so maybe it works, maybe it works.
No,
All right.
maybe it works for some people, maybe it doesn't work for others.
Now, will she be at a Stagecoach?
I don't remember. I don't think she will.
Okay. You have to double check that.
Yeah, let's go double check.
No fact checking on this podcast, except actually we do.
Nope, not since 2018.
There you go. All right. Well, she's due next year.
Yep, next year.
Next year, Marin and her will show up. All right. I listed a couple of things, but they're very, very small today, so I'll just be brief. Last year, one of my favorite records of the year, Magdalena Bay's self-titled, just got a re-release, or no, not self-titled. I believe it's called Mercurial World. Got a re-release today with some extra tracks. So cool. If that sounds good to you, I enjoyed it, even though it's kind of superfluous. I think the original record's better. Still some fun extra tracks. And also one of my favorite bands, Future Teens, their new record came out today. Pretty good. So that's out there if you're looking for some, I guess, emo influenced, like power pop adjacent kind of indie rock. So if that sounds like up your alley, check them out.
Right. You don't want to add them to the doc?
No, they're too small. I don't really, and I don't think they're going to show up on my list. So
we add it for numbers. Just add it for numbers. Add it for the numbers list.
All right, let's move on.
All right, let's move into video games, and we start with new releases. And what year is it? Because World of Warcraft: Wrath of the Lich King is coming to the PC.
Yes. Classic
version.
So this is continuing Blizzard's current thing that they're doing with World of Warcraft, which is instead of introducing new stuff, they are reintroducing old content to the game where it is current to the current game. And so yeah, people who weren't playing WoW back in 2005 can now play the content from Wrath of the Lich King. It's a neat idea. That game is 20 years old. Almost.
Oh no, don't age me.
Yeah, WoW, I believe, has its 20th next year or the year after. It's either 03 or 04, I believe. So yeah, get ready.
Oof,
Classic WoW. Anyway.
classic. Anyways, also releasing this week, Ted Lasso 2023 for everything.
Yes, the non-video game news this week, because it didn't quite make the cut. But yes, Ted Lasso and the team he runs are in FIFA this year. So yeah, that's out and on everything this week. Just like the NBA, though, important to note, the Switch and PC versions are the last year's game with new rosters. Everything else, brand new engine.
Yeah, so that's FIFA 23. But you can have Ted Lasso players in the game as well.
Also important to note, this will be, according to EA's plans, the last proper year of the product called FIFA 20-something. Next year, the FIFA deal expires for them, and they will be reintroducing, I believe, EA Football Club as the name of the franchise.
It'll just be EAFC.
Yeah, EAFC or EA Football Club.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Grounded for Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and the PC.
Yes.
I know what you're thinking. Hold up. They already had that game, didn't they?
Well, it's been in game preview for that entire period of time. This is its official 1.0 launch. So yeah, if you have Game Pass already, you may have already played some Grounded. This is now available in its final form.
Or its true form?
Yes, it's true form.
Its final form is like version 4.2 update.
Maybe. It depends on how much they update it.
Yeah,
hopefully it's been
updates.
Hopefully it's got the Hades treatment and was previewed all to hell and back, so maybe it's really good now. I don't know, maybe.
Next up, The Legend of Heroes: Trails from Zero for PS4, Switch, and PC.
Yeah, another one of those Legend of Heroes RPGs that some people are cultishly devoted to, and everybody else is like, wait, another one?
Yeah. Moon Scars for everything. Or is it Moon's Cars?
As much as I wish it was Moon's Cars, a racing game on the moon, it's not. It's probably Moon's Scars.
All right. Tunic, the game that was originally for the Xbox. 1 year is up, so now it's on for the PS4, PS5, and Switch.
Yes, although that's not true. It has not been a year. I believe that game came out in March. It's not been a year. Tunic came out this calendar year.
Okay.
Maybe March is wrong, but it definitely came out this year. But yes, PlayStation and Switch owners can now play Tunic. You're fact checking again.
I'm just saying, if I can get to it. We also have Deathverse: Let It Die.
Yes.
For PS4, PS5, and PC.
So do you remember Let It Die, the first time that was released?
No.
It is a free-to-play multiplayer focused thing by the No More Heroes guy, Suda51. This is a next-gen, well, also on PS4, I guess, version of that same game, basically with new updates. So if you like Let It Die, here's more Let It Die.
Okay. There's also Pathfinder: Wrath of the Righteous for PS4, Xbox One, and Switch.
This is an RPG based on the Pathfinder series of tabletop games.
And lastly, Valkyrie Elysium for PS4 and PS5.
I don't know, RPG of some sort.
With Vikings. Valkyrie.
Maybe.
All right. Let's get into some video game news and the big story.
Dominated.
Yeah, it literally dominated.
Yes,
you couldn't get away from it. All the leaks. Well, less of a leak and more of a flood. GTA 6. Grand Theft Auto 6, despite what Rockstar says, does indeed exist. And there are images out there.
Yes.
not the way Rocksteady would have wanted.
Rocksteady, Rockstar.
Rockstar.
Rocksteady are the
guys.
Batman people.
Yes.
Or the Rhino from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That one's Which one's Rocksteady and which one's Bebop?
Bebop is the Warthog.
So the Rhino is
Yeah,
Rocksteady.
the Rhino is Rocksteady.
Okay, but neither of them are in this story. This is about Rockstar.
Yes.
And not the energy drink.
No, that's the other one. Or the Nickelback song.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Because this does not take place in Canada. This is actually the UK, as UK police have arrested a 17-year-old in Oxfordshire on suspicion of hacking, and it's been claimed that it's in relation to the recent Grand Theft Auto 6 hack. First posted to the GTA forums last week by user TeapotTuber Hack. Huh?
Tipo Tuber Hacker.
Teapot Uber Hacker.
Oh, Teapot Uber Hacker. That makes more sense than Tuber Hacker.
Yeah. Then Tipo Tuber Hacker.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
If you add the splashes in the right places, you have report Uber Hacker. Anyways,
Well,
the footage itself
that might actually be on purpose, because there is actually some people who have a theory that this guy also was the guy who hacked Uber's servers this past week as well. Apparently these happened back to back, and so people are convinced that it's the same guy.
I mean, could be. The
Maybe.
footage that was released includes open world gameplay, which is alleged to be from GTA 6, and they do appear to be legitimate.
Yeah.
It's claimed by the leaker that the videos were downloaded from Slack in an attempt to, in a statement published on its social channels. Developer Rockstar said it was, quote, extremely disappointed to have details on the game shared this way, and claimed that the leak would not delay the project. Quote, we recently suffered a network intrusion in which an unauthorized third party illegally accessed and downloaded confidential information from our systems, including early development footage for the next Grand Theft Auto. So basically confirming that the leaks were indeed true.
Yeah. So there's a lot to unpack in this story. Like I said, there's the Uber angle, which is interesting. That this guy was just an entrepreneurial hacker and wanted to prove that he could do these things. So he did both and right in a row. There's also a running theory that this was a former, although if it's this 17-year-old kid, I guess this is not true. But there was a theory in the first couple days that this was maybe an ex-Rockstar employee that had a bone to pick with management and wanted to release this to kind of punish the studio. But like I said, the 17-year-old, if he's the guy, that disproves that theory pretty soundly. Then the third thing I want to mention here is that, yeah, so it kind of sparked a conversation in the video game industry about early leaked footage of video games. So there seems to be two camps, more or less. There's the camp who's like, mostly on the developers side, and you see a lot of developers with this story, basically saying like, this is terrible. The developer should have a complete lockdown about when they show early footage because of how terrible people on the internet can be. We don't want to show anything, like secrecy is a must because we want to make sure that the community is getting the game that we want them to see, that they're going to be the final product, and that showing games too early just unleashes Pandora's box and is not fun for anyone. Then on the other side of that, there's the camp that is saying, yeah, but why is this business so secretive? We learn about stuff about movies years ahead. We know who's making them. We know their casts. We know early footage of like what sets are going to look like, what costumes are going to look like, often years ahead of it. Like, why don't we have a conversation between fans and studios about what games look like in early development? Because, hey, if we did know what games look like a year, 3 years in advance, maybe there wouldn't be this violent reaction that fans get when they see early footage. And maybe they wouldn't come to conclusions about like, why does this look like shit? if they know that that's what games look like in early development. So depending on which camp you land in, those two very diametrically opposed sides, yeah, there was a lot to learn this week. A lot of studios kind of jumped at the opportunity to show their own projects before they were completed on Twitter. So if you look up the quote, graphics are the first thing done in development, which was by some sort of idiot fan who decided that he was going to show his full ass and be the main character on Twitter this week. Studios actually took that as an opportunity to be like, actually, hey, if you want to see what Uncharted looked like, one of the Uncharted games looked like in 3 years before release, here you go. And they shared early footage of Uncharted. It was actually kind of cool to see these studios get out and be like, no, it is definitely not the first thing that's done. Here's our example of why. So yeah, I find myself kind of maybe not in the middle of the camp, more so in the camp over here, which is like, why don't we have an ongoing conversation? But at the same time, I understand why a developer would be like, I don't want them to see my work in progress. Like, does a writer want their like readers to see the first draft? Absolutely not. So I get that logic, right? As a creator, the thing you want the person who's enjoying your product to see is the final thing. I get that. So I don't at all blame the developers for feeling that way about leaked footage. But nonetheless, I think overall, this experience, the one good thing that came out of it is that, yes, this is a conversation that's happening. And hopefully studios will consider what it means to show games in development.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we say it here all the time.
Yeah.
It's a business. These
Yes.
are company secrets that are being leaked. While yes, as a fan of games and media, even here on this podcast, we talk about it all the time, especially with leaks, that kind of news and leaks entices us. It gets us into, as fans, to know what's coming, what to expect, kind of either hype or temper our expectations, especially with a game like GTA 6, which has been kind of an open secret of they're working on it.
Yeah.
They're just not telling us. They're telling absolutely zero people that
Right.
they are working on it.
Right.
But it's like, GTA 5 came out 3 console generations ago and it's still going on.
Yeah. You can wait a little bit longer. It's going to be worth it, people. That's the other thing is like a lot of people were like, oh God, like what is this going to do to the bottom line of Rockstar? Absolutely nothing. Grand Theft Auto 6 is probably going to set a new record for the best-selling video game of all time. Like nothing is going to stop it. Not a leak. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, that was the biggest.
The one thing I saw on Twitter was that this isn't GTA 6. It's just GTA Online 2.
I mean, I hope it's also GTA 6 though. Because the thing that is assuming is that, yes, of course, they're going to go hard on online. They have to. That's their money-making thing. That's their cash cow. But at the same time, you cannot release a product called Grand Theft Auto 6 and not have it be a paradigm shifting
what you do is you call it Grand
too.
Theft Auto Infinite.
They're not going to call it that.
Why not? Other games are doing it. Other games are going the infinite route.
No, I think they're locked to 6. As soon as they put out a statement addressing these leaks, I think they're pretty much locked in. This is the 6th Grand Theft Auto.
You can still call it GTA 6 Infinite City.
By the way, there was some content we learned from the leaks, but I'm not going to go too in depth with it. Seems like there may be a male and a female protagonist, which would be the first for the series. It looks like it will take place in the Vice City area again. So think Miami, Florida. So yeah, and it looks like a Grand Theft Auto game. So not too many surprises there. And hopefully this leads to actually official footage released when Rockstar is ready to show it.
During the Video Game Awards.
Maybe, but probably not this year. Maybe next year.
I'd say it'd be this year just to get ahead of it.
No.
You do the title, you do a logo.
Maybe a logo. All right, let's move on.
All right, let's move on. So last year we had a big story about people hoarding Nvidia cards because in order to upgrade it, basically resell it.
Yes.
Well, if you're still holding on to those and trying to resell it, guess what? You gotta move fast because Nvidia has announced the latest generation of graphics cards.
Yes.
Headlined by the RTX 4090. Yes,
Yep.
this is a PC story just for you PCs. It claimed that the RTX 4090, which will be released next month, currently priced at $1,600, runs Microsoft Flight Simulator at 2 to 4 times the speed of Nvidia's RTX 3090 card, which it's designed to replace. The RTX 4080 will release in November in 2 SKUs: a 16 gigabit GDDRX R6X, which will retail at $1,200, and a 12 gigabit GDDR R6X, which will cost only $900.
Yeah. So yeah, only $900.
Only, only $900, just 2 PS5s.
Yeah. So yeah, cards are a big deal for PC gamers. If you want to have like absolute top of the line PC, you have to get one of these new cards. Nvidia has gone out in front and said that these should be easier to come across this time. They've apparently planned ahead, unlike last time with the 30 series cards. Also of note, Ethereum mining is no longer a home situation. So Bitcoin miners are no longer hoarding these cards, which is why prices have kind of settled and why there's been more 30 series cards available. Though they do say, though, this does not mean huge all of a sudden discounts on the 30 series cards. No. So if you're expecting a big blowout and you can just roll up to the store and get a $300 3090, no, still not the case. They are not introducing these as immediate replacements and will still have those leftover 30s in the ecosystem. And yeah, for the end user, honestly, you're probably good if you got one of those 30 cards. Honestly, you're probably good with the 2080, like what I have. Video games are not crazy enough right now. In fact, we've kind of plateaued technology-wise for the last couple of years, except for the outliers like Flight Simulator, which is why it's the benchmark. So I say that honestly, from what I can tell, no big rush to go pick up these 40 series cards, unless you absolutely positively need to be on the bleeding edge. Maybe wait till the price goes down. These are expensive ass cards.
What's the new engine? Unreal Engine 5?
5 is what they're
5.
on. So I imagine that these will be the best way to get a 5 experience, but they probably developed those on weaker cards. So like, that's what I'm saying is like, there's absolutely no rush and no reason to go out and immediately get a Founders Edition, First Edition NVIDIA 4090. So maybe hold on.
You mean not so I can put it on the wall behind me as a trophy box?
Say you got it. Unless you're building a PC this year, then I'm like, hey, if you have the extra money, then absolutely pony up the money. But
yes, I have an extra $1,600 lying around
just for the graphics card. So that's
just
like
for
a
the graphics card.
This is gonna be like a $3,000 rig when you're done. Like it's just insane. It's insane. But if you have money, I don't know, go do that. But also maybe donate to charity too. Anyway.
Anyways, we played some games.
Yeah.
So I'll finish up my thoughts from last week.
Yeah, it looks like you wrapped up a game.
Yeah, so I wrapped up a game, Digimon Survive. So last week I talked about how it was less of a playing game and more of like an RPG game. That's more or less what I got to by the end. Yeah. Except I need to apologize to this game because the story was actually really good by the time I got to the end.
Hey, all right.
I mean, by the time the story actually got going from where we were last week when I talked about it to now, to me finishing it, I kind of streamlined through it. I was like, yeah, I really ended up liking the story. The gameplay did get stale after a while, especially since I was able to level everyone up and then just mow down everybody that was in my way.
Yeah.
So even though the gameplay or the battles got easier, the actual like story is what kept me going to the end, because it's a true RPG style. You gotta make friends and connections with the other characters in the game. You gotta raise your affinity level, and I tried to. But I did end up blowing everyone up at the end. Even though I had won the game, I technically saved the world, but I doomed all of us because I did not have my affinity raised enough around.
Yikes.
So kind of a little heartbroken on that. Like I didn't expect to be like, oh, so sad that I got to the end and like I won the battle, but I lost the war kind of feeling. But
yeah,
that's part of like good story writing. And I apologize to you on Survive. Your story is actually really pretty decent. All things considered.
well, there you go. Once you paid
Not gonna put it
attention.
on my end of the year list though,
Yeah, well,
but it's a better story than I was expecting out of the game.
that's good.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
So I put that one in the mail. So I'm probably getting Splatoon 3, which I'll talk about next week.
Ooh, all right.
Well, it's either Splatoon or it's Tiny Tina. So I'll see which one gets coin flipped in the mail.
Fair enough. All right, cool.
And then you played a game.
I played a game. Not a whole lot of it. It was more. Well, I'll get into it, but it was not as much of a in-depth experience as I maybe thought it was going to getting into it. Retrospect, I should have known. I played some Metal Hellsinger. So this is, and I mentioned it briefly on the show last week. This is a first-person shooter, think Doom, with a twist. It is also
set to the heavy metal vibe.
Yes, it is also a rhythm game because you are doing everything like shooting, jumping, reloading to the beat of a metal song that is playing in the background. So the rhythm matters. In fact, it matters so much that you can't really do much with this game unless you do shoot these demonic creatures from hell on the rhythm of the song. It's a neat little thing. I like a lot of the concepts here. I like what they're doing with the game. If you know me and if you listen to this podcast, am I a metal guy? No, not. I'm not really a metal dude. Too hardcore for me. But this game does a pretty good job with incorporating that metal into the whole vibe of the game. It is an extremely metal game in every possible definition of the word. Like you're literally in hell. You are shotgun blasting the heads off of demons, and someone is screaming at you melodically while this is happening, while guitar solos rip. If you're like metal and if you like Doom, you should be day one. This should be an instant game to play. That being said, the actual process of playing the game might be a little difficult. It's not a very easy game. It does prompt you with 3 difficulty options. But even on the easiest difficulty, I found myself dying a lot. Well, not a lot. I died once, but or no, I died twice. But the game knows how hard it is, and so it does have fail safes for if you're not getting the rhythm. First of all, it has a Rock Band-esque calibration setting. So if you want to calibrate it to your sound system and your screen, in case you play it and you're like, why am I missing every shot? That's why, so you can manually calibrate it. Your mileage may vary on that though. 2, it's an arcade game and setup. So you have basically a high score that is running through the entire game, and it allows you to resurrect yourself 3 times during the mission, with the downside being a score reduction. So ultimately, if you do find yourself dying a lot, the penalty is not that harsh, especially if you're not somebody who needs to be at the top of their friend's leaderboard. If you don't worry about high score, you can pretty much have a little bit flexibility with how many times you die. However, that feature is removed in the higher difficulties. So I believe the highest difficulty, which is GOAT mode, I want to say, GOAT, you do not have that ability, and you have to restart the mission if you die. But the good news here, missions aren't that long. They're about the size of like a Doom or a Quake level. So a few corridors down the way, a boss character at the end, you'll hit the end and you'll be able to move on to the next step. Each one of these levels, it has its own song, and each of these songs has a guest vocalist from an existing metal band that you might like. The guy from System of the Down is probably the most famous guy here. He's, I believe, the last song on the last level, so you have to get to him. You have to get to the star. But if you're a fan of the genre, there may be a lot of band represented that you're familiar with, and some singers. I actually had a weird moment. The sister of a artist I'm familiar with in the shoegaze band No Joy is apparently in a metal band, and she's in this game. And I was like, hey, I recognize that last name. So I was like, that's fun. Also, No Joy, even though it sounds like it would be a metal band, not a metal band. Anyways, so yeah, very musically talented family, I guess. Shout out to them. Anyways, but yeah, if that sounds like something that sounds like up your alley, if you like those kind of shooters, and you like that kind of music, it's a perfect combination of those worlds. Is the Venn diagram. So if you're right in the smack middle of that Venn diagram, then Metal Hellsinger is a ton of fun. And even though it's kind of hard, I think it has exactly what you think it does if you're any of those people I just described. It's on Game Pass if you want to try that, if you're already on Game Pass. So check it out.
Okay.
And then I just played a lot more Dreamlight Valley. Because of course I did. Progress check. Where are you at in Dreamlight Valley? Who do you have?
I'm still. So I got past Ursula in Dreamlight
Okay.
Valley. Only played a little bit longer.
Oh.
I went and got Remy because, of course, I did.
Yeah.
I need my little chef pal.
You need a little chef.
Yep. And right now I'm trying to get his house in next to the little chef place that's set up.
Oh, the restaurant, yes.
The restaurant. But I need to like clear out some stuff and then get some more affinity for it. So
this game is turning me into a madman. I am literally going slowly crazy trying to build a system to make things easier for me. I'm butting up against the end of the content. I have unlocked almost every region. I think I have 2 more to go, but they're like 10,000 and 15,000 light away. So I'm like need to grind for that light. But I've got all 3 of the available castle realms opened. So I have everybody from those realms. So I have Wally, Moana, and Remy.
But what about the next tier?
I don't believe that's open yet. I know that castle keeps going.
You see the extra tiers though, right? And the extra wings that say, hey, we can add all these people eventually.
I mean, current content is what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So I think I've unlocked most of the people except for maybe if there's a few people. I just unlocked the Sunlit Plateau realm, and I think I'm faster than the game wants me to be because there was nobody there. I was like, okay, cool. Somebody's clearly supposed to live here, but they do not live here yet. I believe in the fall update that lion will be added to the game. So I may be like getting too far into the content than the game is ready to have me yet. That being said, yeah, it's turning me into an organizational fiend. I keep building chests just so I can have storage, more storage than my house allows. So I have literally now like, okay, this one's for fruit. This one's for rock-based crafting items. This is for other crafting items. This is for, I'm galaxy braining right now with this game. And I'm like, why? Why am I doing this? I don't understand why. I don't understand why I'm putting so many hours. I probably played more of this game than any game probably all year. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm doing it. It's not even that good of a game. But it's addictive. I just can't stop playing Disney Dreamlight Valley. So yeah, I'm sure there will be more Disney Dreamlight talk throughout the year.
I mean, once you get the fall update, then yeah, that's where you're gonna be like, oh yes, more characters.
Yeah, more characters.
Is there any character that you're like waiting for?
Yeah, I'm waiting for more clothes because like I tried expanding I did the first upgrade for Scrooge's store, and he still doesn't add any more clothing or furniture to the catalog. And I'm like, how do I get more clothes? Do I have to wait for the fall update for that? Come on, Scrooge. Come on. Anyways.
Just start designing your own clothes.
I want crop tops. There's not enough crop tops for my lady.
Yeah,
you can't design one.
Once I saw that I could design my own clothes off of blank canvas, I was like, okay, that's what I'm just gonna do. Forgo clothing, design it myself.
But not everything is in there though.
Well, I just designed like the Mickey ears and a backpack. But
yeah, I don't want
to look at the back most of the time. That's all I cared about.
If I want to design a dress for my girl, I don't want it to be the big gown, and that's the only ones you can design. I'm like, come on. Anyways. That's Disney Dreamlight Valley, like I said. Well, I'm sure we'll talk more about it as we go on. But yeah, and I still haven't played Tiny Can. I have it downloaded, but yeah, I'll get to it probably this week. Maybe tomorrow, if it's all I can do is lift my arms to about this height, then maybe I'll play some video games.
Yeah, you get shot.
Yeah.
Alligator arms.
T-Rex hands. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, that's video
Anyways,
games.
anything else you played?
That's video games. So let's move on then into the second half of the show, into the television section, and we always start television with the sports corner. As I point back.
You point to my screen, I point behind me.
Yeah, exactly. First up in the sports corner, we continue our home run watch, watching both Aaron Judge and Albert Pujols try to hit their respective records. Aaron Judge hit number 60 this week. He is waiting to hit number 61 as of this recording. That will be a new record for the American League. So
did you see that the game today is on Apple Plus, and people are pissed about it because it could be a record?
Yeah, and you have to have this stupid service to watch it.
Yes.
Well, tune in and see if he can do it if you have Apple Plus. And then yeah, meanwhile, Albert Pujols is at 698, trying to get to that 700 mark before the season's up. We'll see if he hits that. I don't know.
Yeah, he's got 2 more to get there. We'll see.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in other baseball news, the Yankees clinched. They will be in the playoffs. I'm trying to think if there were any other clinches. There were a few people eliminated. The Angels are out officially, as we hinted at last week. Didn't take them very long. They lost it. Okay, explain this to me. They win a series against the Mariners, but they lose a series against the Rangers?
Yeah, and
the team does not make any sense to me, but they haven't made any sense at all. Ever since that infamous intentional walk with the bases loaded, the Angels were destined not to make any sense this season, and they haven't. So there you go. Maybe next time. Anyway,
they'll get there. Let me check the box scores real quick.
Yeah, let's see if any clinches happened before going into next week.
Aaron Judge has not hit the home run yet, so good job on that. Get it out of Apple's hands.
Yeah, right.
Let's see here. Any other clinches? I'm going to MLB right here. Doesn't look like it.
No, that's okay. We will have your baseball update next week.
Just so far, Yankees and Astros have clinched. Mets, Braves, and Dodgers are all like confirmed for the postseason.
Well, the next time we record, it may be October, which means playoffs will be right around the corner. So stay tuned.
I think the final game of baseball is next Friday, right?
The proper season. Yeah, I believe. Yeah. I heard that there are 13-ish games left in the season for each team, so more or less. So just wait. Not a whole lot more to play. All right, let's move in then to other sports here. Football continues, but the biggest news in football this morning was about its halftime show, specifically the Super Bowl halftime
Wednesday,
show.
October 5th is the last game.
Got it. All right.
So,
anyways, yes.
10 days.
10 days. So yeah, anyways, if you have been watching sponsorships for the Super Bowl halftime show, you'll know that Pepsi is usually the one behind the curtain here.
So before it was Bridgestone.
Yeah.
But yes, now it's Pepsi.
It's been Pepsi for the last handful of years. Well, this year that is changing. Apple Music is the official sponsor of the halftime show this year. That has been announced, but what hasn't been announced is who will be the performer. Typically, we hear that around this time of year. We start hearing kind of scuttlebutt going into October about who's going to be in the January Super Bowl. Not so far. That announcement will probably come very soon. However, the rumor mill has already started up. A lot of people are jumping to the conclusion, in my opinion, it sounds like jumping to a conclusion, that because they announced the lineup, or because they announced this at midnight, that this is a hint, and also because Pepsi's gone. Those are two hints that it could be a Taylor Swift halftime show.
Yes, even though it's never been confirmed, but
Yeah.
because Taylor Swift is sponsored by Coca-Cola,
She has a
that-
Diet Coke marketing deal that she's had for years.
yes, that she could not perform for Pepsi
Yeah.
halftime show because it's a Pepsi sponsored event.
This is people going off the fact that apparently stuff came out a few years ago about like, oh, she's been offered it, but she had to decline because of that sponsorship, because she wouldn't want to, I guess, displease Coke if she worked with Pepsi. I don't know. I
The
find it
Coke
hard to
machine.
believe. I honestly find it hard to believe. But if she was going to do it, it probably would have been in like the Reputation era, like, or the 1989 era. So
Mhm.
maybe part of me believes that could have happened, but this would be a good time to do it, considering that she'll just have an album come out. She may already be in the marketing throes of whatever her new re-record is. Maybe it's 1989. Maybe it's Speak Now. Crossing my fingers for Speak Now. So yeah, who knows where she'll be at. It'll be good timing for her. And also, if this is a rock record, what better place to blow it out like in like the biggest stage of the work in the year, in the calendar year. So I would love for this to be true. Also, if it's not true, I feel like the Swifties are going to absolutely go full on assault. So we'll see.
Right, but the next place that's going to take place, stadium-wise, is in Glendale, Arizona.
Yeah.
After that, it's going to be in Vegas. So my guess would be 2025 if she was going to do it, because that's New Orleans.
No, I don't think she waits. I think she strikes when the iron's hot if she's offered it. Well, who else then? If it's not Taylor, who do you think Apple Music gets here?
Kendrick Lamar. Wait, no, he's already.
He just was there.
He was just there.
Nobody from last year can be here.
But he had such a small set.
So that eliminates like 5 people, and that eliminates the weekend because he was the year before.
Yep.
So who's that big right now? I don't think Harry Styles.
I would say Harry Styles.
I
Post
think
Malone?
also he's already on tour. I don't think Post Malone's big enough.
No, he broke his ribs.
Also, yeah, he's recovering.
Yes.
I don't think Dua Lipa's there yet.
No.
I don't. If you want the world to care, maybe you get BTS
Maybe.
to play. Or maybe they go back to having an older kind of established act. Red Hot Chili Peppers, they're really big right now. They're having a huge comeback. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I could see.
But we'll find out soon as
that.
rumors speculate. Because I believe Jay-Z is still producing this.
Yeah. Maybe not actually. Because that was, I believe he was with. Oh, you're right, because he was on the NFL side of the operation.
Yeah, he's on the
Pepsi
NFL side of
right?
that, not Pepsi side.
Then maybe, I don't know.
Beyonce?
Maybe. She's done it before, right? Has she? I think she has.
I think she did.
That sounds like that happened.
2016 with Bruno Mars.
Yeah, okay. She co-headlined.
Or 2013.
Maybe they do just her. I could see Beyonce. That's a good point. I did not think about Beyonce. Again, not technically she was co-headlining. What if it was just her?
What about Emmy Award winning Lizzo?
I didn't think about Lizzo. Lizzo might work. I mean, what if the Minnesota Vikings won't be there? But
only if the Minnesota Vikings get there. All right.
What are your thoughts about this like pervasive theory in week 2 that it's going to be an Eagles-Bills Super Bowl? I keep hearing that. I'm like, people, we're barely in the season.
Bills, yes. Eagles, no. But Eagles always do this. It's all the Eagles fans who generate this hype.
Yeah, of course, right?
Yes.
Anyways, let's move on because we talked way too much about this story.
Yes.
What else is happening in sports? Let's see. The Las Vegas Aces, speaking of Las Vegas, have taken the WNBA title. So congratulations to them.
Yep. Congratulations on being the WNBA champions.
Cool.
1 year.
Indeed. Maybe more. We'll see. What else in sports do we need to talk about?
Nothing else. Basketball and hockey will start in October. So we'll talk about that when we get to October. NASCAR playoffs are happening, but if you care about that, you already know that's happening.
Oh yeah, and everybody's favorite hockey mascot was on TV this week. Gritty appeared
Gritty.
in the season 2 premiere of Abbot Elementary, which I'll talk about in a moment. But yes, everybody loves Gritty.
Yep. Other than that,
Oh, you have nothing. You like I have nothing to say about Gritty.
no. Gritty was there. I saw that trending on Twitter.
Gritty was there.
Yes, Gritty was indeed there.
Let's move on then outside of sports then, if there's nothing else happening there, and talk about some television news. We start television news with something I swear to God we were going to stop covering, but here it is again, the Golden Globes. They are back from their one-year exodus and are returning to proper television, specifically NBC, for the 2023 ceremony. The network, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, and Dick Clark Productions all announced this on Tuesday. The ceremony will return to the Beverly Hilton in time for its 80th anniversary on Tuesday, January 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. The telecast will also be, of course, streamed live on Peacock. The deal comes after months of talks about a resumption of the awards show at the network. Such an announcement had not been a guarantee, given lingering concerns about the Hollywood Foreign Press Association's actions and whether its reforms that has made a big show of saying that it's done have been enough. The HFPA said the Globe's voting body voting pool is now, quote, 52% female, 51.5% racially and ethnically diverse, with 19.5% Latinx, I'm not really sure how to say that, people of Latin descent, 12% Asian, 10% Black, and 10% Middle Eastern, end quote. Nominations for the next Globes will be held on December 12th. The likelihood of the Globes' return was increased this summer when Eldridge Industries announced that it was taking over the Golden Globe Awards. Under that new deal, the Globes will become a for-profit private entity separate from the Hollywood Foreign Press Association's charitable and philanthropic programs, which will be managed as a nonprofit. So they claim that they've dealt with a lot of the controversy, that they've made their voting populace more diverse, that they put the effort into separating it from the nonprofit, meaning that less people are accusing them of kind of, trying to drive up profits for their nonprofit organization. All of this stuff, they've said they've done the due diligence. Is that enough? Especially on NBC, when we just had the least watched Emmys ever on the same network? Why do they think this is the time?
I mean, it's an added award show. It's also weird that they put it on Tuesday.
Yeah, they just had a big ratings whiff on a Monday night. Why do they think Tuesday is going to be any different?
So it's specifically on Tuesday on NBC because of all sports deals that's already in place, including this season finale of the NFL on that Sunday. And then Monday is the NCAA football. So they couldn't move either of those, so they had to put it on Tuesday. Otherwise, the following week is the Critics Awards, and they kind of want to be before them.
Just a total disaster.
It's literally like shoehorning your little slice of the pie in here. Like, oh, we can wedge right in here on a Tuesday. Don't mind us. And yeah, if you thought the Emmys ratings were low for a Sunday, how do you think they're going to be for Golden Globes on a Tuesday?
Yeah, right. This is a bad idea in all sorts of ways for NBC, for the awards, for the Foreign Press Association. No one benefits from this because these should just go away. No one cares about the Golden Globes.
This screams winter dead zone, January dead zone. We need to fill something here.
It just sucks. That's what I'll say. It just sucks. Let's move on.
It can be both. Both of those things can exist.
Yeah, I know. Let's move on to something that also kind of has sucked lately. Saturday Night Live. This is just a brief one. This is also kind of crossover. I had this as a music story. You put this in the television section just as a quickie here. We have the announcement made for the first 3 weeks of the season's hosts and musical guests. Miles Teller will make his SNL debut alongside the season debut with musical guest Kendrick Lamar on October 1st. Him making his third appearance on the show. So yeah, pretty good guest for your season premiere. But yeah, Miles, who cares? Who cares about Miles Teller? Also making his debut is renowned Irish actor Brendan Gleeson the following week on the 8th with musical guest Willow, who just put out a record, so that makes sense. That will be followed up by a double duty host and musical guest, Megan Thee Stallion, which sounds like a good get. I can imagine she's going to be a ton of fun to get in both of those slots. That'll be on October 15th.
Yeah, Megan Thee Stallion was recently seen in She-Hulk.
Yes. So, yeah, this seems like good timing for her. Yeah, good for Megan.
Yeah, so we can at least confirm that in the MCU, they listen to Megan Thee Stallion.
Yes.
Her music exists in the MCU.
Yeah, one of the few people that are in both. All right, and then not returning this season, though, another casualty before the season premiere, Chris Redd also will be leaving. This makes 8 total cast members departing, the largest single exodus since 1995, which was a huge changeover cast-wise for the show and kind of ushered in a new era. So yeah, this is happening all over again, and I'm really hoping that means we get a quality jump too.
Probably, because last time we had a big exodus like this, like you said, 1995, it ushered in the Will Ferrell, Chris Kattan.
Yeah, you had Tina Fey and joined the writing staff around that time in 95. And Robert Carlock, of course, they would go on write for the show for a while. So yeah, maybe we have something similar to that, though this is talent, not necessarily writing talent. So I wonder how much of this will affect the actual quality when the same head writers, Colin Jost and Michael Che, are still there. So yeah, you know,
the bane of your SNL existence.
Still waiting. But yeah, it might be worth checking out. I'll probably check out the first episode at least and see if anything is better.
I'll check out the first skit because I don't want to watch that much of Miles Teller, but we'll see if it entices.
Fair enough. There was a third story here just a second ago and it's disappeared. So I guess we're moving on.
Oh, yeah, no, we don't need to talk about this story. It's pretty dark.
Seems dramatic. Let's move on.
It is very dramatic.
To something else dramatic, our thoughts about what television we've watched this week.
Yes. So you indicated, talking about Gritty appearing in Abbot Elementary season 2 premiere.
Yes. Coming off 2 big Emmy wins for the series for writing and for a supporting actress. So yeah, Abbott Elementary bigger than ever, and yeah, season 2 nailed the premiere. I think it was a great episode of the show. It makes me excited to see where they go from here. A lot of characters are in, especially the main character, are in interesting spots. It'll be interesting to see what they do with those opportunities as the season goes on. And yeah, I thought having Gritty and a lot of sports talk, a lot of talk about like Eagles and hockey on the around the corner was cool to see. Very of the moment. A joke about student debt relief probably was written at the very last minute. It feels like it's a show that's very important of this moment, and I think that makes it unique, especially among network sitcoms. And I think that's why it's getting the spotlight. And I think, hey, as long as it maintains the quality and it's as funny as it is, and I can back that up, just as funny as it was first season, then hey, it's a show to watch and keep your eyes on it. So yeah, I will report back at the end of the season.
Yep. I think all episodes are available on Hulu.
Yes.
They might be on Disney Plus as well. I think
I'm not sure. Maybe. I don't know what that deal is, but yes.
I know the first half of it is on Disney Plus.
Yeah, if you want to catch up. Yeah, catch up. All of it is on Hulu for season 1. And yeah, season 2 episodes will be the day after they air on ABC.
Yep. So yeah, good to hear that is continuing to be
still good.
Still a good show.
Still one of the best shows of the year.
Yep. Other show that had its resurgence is Quantum Leap, the reboot.
It's a remake.
It's a reboot.
I believe it's a reboot because I don't believe the main character is related or it takes place at all in the original show's universe.
Technically, it does.
Oh, it does. Okay. I was going to say it could be wrong.
Technically, it does take place in the same universe because they say that they've resurrected the Quantum Leap project, which is what
Okay.
they're currently in.
So Scott
And he
Bakula will
referenced-
show up at some point, right?
So they specifically said they did not want Scott Bakula for the pilot, but they did not say they would never have Scott Bakula as like show up within the series.
He'll show up.
He'll show up if it's not for the season 1 finale, maybe somewhere down the line. They literally left it open and specifically ambiguous, so that way he could show up at a future point in time. That being said, this show is a dual sense show in that, yes, I do like, it's very much the same way that it was Quantum Leap of Dr. Ben Song leaping into the bodies of other people and interacting within the time stream in order to correct it. And then once it's done, he leaps out, hoping that his next leap will be the leap home. And then roll credits.
Of course, it's not going to be.
No, it's never going to be.
Because the whole
Even in the
concept
original
of the
series,
show,
it was never going to be.
the whole concept of the show requires him to keep leaping.
Yes, in an
Wow.
infinite loop to never truly leap back home.
So do you think modern technology does the show a service, making this believable when the first one was so 80s, like that maybe that it wasn't as believable?
Modern technology allows this to be more believable from a government standpoint, from a holographic technology standpoint.
Sure, yeah.
Basically because they're dealing with 80s technology, talking about what's essentially 2020 future technology. You're only so limited by what you're out here. But thanks to blue screen and green screen and 30, 40 years of technological advancements.
Do you think this
Yes.
has legs? Do you think anybody wants this right now? Do you think this has a future? Or do you think this is just another flash of the pan reboot?
This can literally go one of two ways.
Yeah.
Either it's a success or it's a flash in the pan, because the writing and the way they have stuff set up is that it can literally go either way. And I think that's what they might end up doing with this first season, assuming it doesn't get picked up.
Yeah.
For like future seasons, in that there are certain threads that they've written into the show that correspond with the original Quantum Leap, and they're gonna like do the present day like government agency storyline for that specific purpose, while also having the Quantum Leap back in time storyline of how do we solve today's day of the week or
Right.
problem of the day scenario.
Okay.
So it has two different like an A line and B line story that aren't necessarily going to connect in any way, but there are at some points I can see where they do, but also where if one storyline seems to be more interesting than the others, they can easily swap depending on the day of the week. Oh, it's going to be a present day storyline, or it's going to be a past storyline. It's literally a diverse show. It can go one of two ways. I'm still flipping the coin here which way it's going to land.
Well, we'll see.
I like the cast. The writing's just okay, but it's very TV writing.
Yeah.
But it's not the best pilot out there. It could probably been done a little bit better. But then again, what's the other one that came out that it said the same thing about it? Endgame, also at NBC, where it had a pretty strong pilot, but didn't quite make it until the end. And even that got canceled after one season.
Yeah,
I
honestly.
signed up for a second season, multiple seasons.
Honestly,
it's still good.
Yeah,
but
you name
this is the
something in
classic
game and no
NBC
one's going to
thing,
remember what it is.
Exactly. It's the classic NBC thing that they've always done, which is we don't know, so you better write a very ambiguous ending if should your stories conclude.
Anyway, that's all you watched this week. You had a not so surprised Patton Oswalt.
I was surprised to see Patton Oswalt.
You always
yes,
are.
Yes. Patton Oswalt has a new Netflix special out. We All Scream. and talks about his COVID life being a 50-year-old and probably not working the way he used to be. It's classic Patton Oswalt. I like his comedy. Is actually coming soon to a town near us at the
Hey.
Irvine Improv.
Oh,
in
really?
October. Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, not so surprised because I looked it up.
We should go.
Probably.
We should go. Anyway,
Surprise.
surprise.
Just totally besides says surprise.
Yeah. He's gonna be like, I don't know what that means.
Oh, you will if you listen to our podcast. Surprise,
Yeah.
Patton Oswalt.
No way. There's no way Patton Oswalt will listen to our podcast.
You know, someone out there, like, it's just Googling who's searching Patton Oswalt, talking about Patton Oswalt. And because he's right there in our bio.
We always talk about Patton Oswalt.
Because it's always a surprise. And that's, so if you like his comedy, it's not so much on the nerd, geeky side of comedy, this special is. Instead, it's more about like a post-pandemic, more being a newlywed again,
right.
kind of special. More,
yeah, this is his,
it's a day in the life special.
Yeah, because this is his first special since the one after his wife's passing,
yes,
right? Yeah.
Yes, and also the first special since first comedy special,
right?
Since he did the producing for the In the Dark for HBO special,
right? Yeah,
or series, limited series. So it's more day in the life than it is nerd geeky Patton Oswalt.
Yeah.
There is one section where he starts talking to the audience, which kind of didn't drive with me because it's very anti Patton Oswalt, what he typically does.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it was pretty funny. Patton Oswalt, he's always a good time.
Cool.
Like I said,
Great.
he's coming to a town near us. Maybe we should go.
Yeah, maybe we should go. Is this what is this on? Is this HBO
Netflix?
Max?
It's a Netflix special.
Netflix. Got it. Yeah. Right, cool. That'll do it for stuff we've watched then.
One last thing. Disney and Star Wars.
Yes, we're contractually obligated to talk about the next Disney Plus Star Wars show.
Yes, next Disney Plus series from Star Wars is Andor. The first 3 episodes are up. And I will say it definitely needed the 3 episodes in order to get going.
All right.
Although it probably could have done so in 2 episodes. You just cut them in half and do it that way. I think because they wanted to keep it around the 33-minute mark, that they purposely did it in 3 episodes.
Uh-huh.
So that way you get your hour and a half in 3 chunks instead of 2. But other than that, it does the thing that Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power does, where it's shot like a film.
Yeah.
But written like a TV show. Except because Lord of the Rings sticks to an hour, you get an hour of TV dialogue.
Yeah.
Here, they're not sticking to that. You get your 33 minutes, your 35-minute episodes, and then you're out. It looks good. But again, this is also coming off of the Book of Boba Fett, which I could not care for. Also coming off of Kenobi, which was better, but not like Mandalorian style. This is more on the level of Mandalorian. This is, I think, them finding their footing, finding the balance between the shows that they have put on there and saying that, okay, this is exactly what we want now. We've kind of nailed down the formula and it works. The show, it's never overstays its welcome. It's always moving fast. There's always something happening, and all the characters interact constantly. And especially by the end, you're like, okay, all right, I'm on board. I want to see where this goes now.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, it's a better one of those shows.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot of people seem to be liking it more than the Mandalorian or Boba Fett. Seems like it's a little bit, especially Boba Fett. But yeah, people are seeming to like Andor.
Yeah, like I said, like Kenobi just ended a couple of months ago, or a couple of weeks ago, not months ago. So yeah, this is the next iteration of that.
Nice. Well, very cool. That sounds good. One additional note, something I'll talk about next week because it premiered today. Great British Bake Off is back on Netflix. So all the news about soggy bottoms for you next week.
And for those of you who watch Love is Blind After the Altar, the 3 episodes are currently up now from season 2. That's because season 3 is coming in October. So I'll be talking about the new crop of whoever they're able to get into these pods in a couple weeks.
Well, all right, we'll get there.
That's
soon.
it for us here.
So that means we can move over to cancellations and renewals. It's got a couple.
Right, what am I no longer watching?
There's a couple here that you're still watching, both renewals this week. Jimmy Kimmel Live gets 3 more seasons on ABC. That will put it to 23 ultimately. So more Jimmy Kimmel than you could ever want. And then on FX and Hulu, Reservation Dogs, the Taika Waititi produced show, will get a 3rd season confirmed. So good news, because I hear that show is pretty good. I've not watched it. All right.
I haven't watched it. So that's coming off of FX and just going straight to Hulu. But still being produced by FX. But it's FX on Hulu now.
All right, well, then let's move on to the last section of the show, movies. And we always start the movie section with the weekend box office numbers. Your number 1 movie this week was The Woman King, with a premiere of $19 million. Wow, that's actually high considering the last couple weeks. So congratulations to The Woman King. Number 2, Barbarian, another 6.5 million, adding to $21 million total domestic. Number 3, Pearl, with a 3.1 million debut. Number 4, See How They Run, with $3 million. And rounding out your top 5, Bullet Train, still chugging along, 2.5 million, adding to a $96 million total. Box office news this week, though, worldwide, Jurassic Park Dominion crossed the $1 billion mark and adds to that rarefied list.
Worldwide, yes.
Worldwide.
Also note that Top Gun Maverick is out of the top 5.
Yeah.
It's at number 6 now.
Well, there you go. Just out of it. Just out of it.
Just out of it.
Yeah, really. Let's move on. So upcoming releases this week, 2 genre pictures for you, as they used to say in the business. First up, Bros, which is the rom-com with a gay twist that has Billy Eichner in it. And then Smile, which is your horror movie, getting ahead of the horror October that we're destined to have. So there you go. Those are your 2 new releases.
Films.
Let's move on. We have a story about Moonlight. Not that Moonlight, not the Oscar-winning film Moonlight. No, a new project with Illumination, the animation company, and animation that Mike Moon. Moonlight will augment Illumination's existing slate of films and produce animated films that push beyond the family genre, which of course is where Illumination do their work. Chris Melandri, founder and CEO of Illumination, exclaimed, quote, "We have an exceptionally talented group of artists, filmmakers, and producers at Illumination and believe that there's no better complement to this team than Mike and the new company we are partnering to build. He has exceptional taste, deep experience, and strong vision for films that we intend to make together." I bet you're loving all this praise for a guy named Mike.
Yes, it is.
I look forward to Mike and Moonlight making a substantial contribution to Illumination's future, end quote. Moon's career work has included such pictures and series titles as The Midnight Gospel, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, The Missiles vs. the Machines, Gravity Falls, and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Moon recently served as a producer on Netflix's upcoming Intergalactic, that's with an E, from Kenya Barris and Kid Cudi. So clearly he has dabbled in things that are not necessarily just for kids. So having a special brand for animated movies that go beyond just the kids audience is exciting and hopefully will be good for animation as a medium. I just hope they're better than Illumination's movies, please, please.
This does mean that we can look forward to adult animation films from Moonlight. I assume that's the only reason they would bring him on, because they don't need any problems with the kids' development, both with the Minions franchise and the Sing franchise. Yes, that's a franchise. There's 2 of them now.
There's 2 of them now. That's how you know it's a franchise.
Now. That's how you count it as a franchise.
That's what it works.
Yep. Expect adult animation, maybe adult animated series from Moonlight.
Perhaps. We will see.
This may also be the way of Illumination getting some of their stuff on direct to Netflix rather than going through Universal in the partnership. Be like, oh, like we don't really go through Universal this. We'll just go through Moonlight, and Moonlight will deal directly with Netflix as a distribution partner.
Yeah.
Or maybe someone else.
Maybe they cross the distribution line here. I don't know. We'll see. But exciting news nonetheless. I like when animation is willing to branch out a little bit.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to our second story. Speaking about branching out, Jon Hamm has decided to branch out his paycheck. The actor gave back 60% of his salary to help finance 3 extra days of filming on his indie project, Confess Fletch. Yes, if you're like, wait a minute, Fletch? You're right. This is a reboot film of the Fletch series from the 70s starring Chevy Chase. So you're not going crazy. They are making a new Fletch with Jon Hamm. Anyways, director Greg Mottola also gave up a portion of his own salary to extend the shoot. According to Mottola, the money that Miramax executive Bill Block was able to put up for the film only covered 27 days of shooting. When Mottola and Hamm went out to find extra funding to bring the shoot to 30 days, they were rejected by every financier. Financier. Fancy. Anyways, in an interview with Greg Mottola, we got it up to 30, quote, we got it up to 30 days in Boston and 1 day in Rome. And we said, fuck it, we're insane, we're dumb, we're going to make this movie. And then Miramax, I guess that still exists. That can't be right?
You have Miramax up here.
I thought Miramax is dead. What? There's still Miramax?
There's still a Miramax.
What? My brain, that's the part that blows my mind about the story. There's still some vestigial limb of Miramax that still exists in the business. Who knew? Anyway, they didn't fight us on people we wanted to cast, end quote. So yeah, the things we learned today in the story. 1, there's a new Fletch movie. 2, Miramax still exists. And 3, Jon Hamm and Greg Mottola are good guys. So there you go.
Well, they're betting on themselves in this movie. It's currently out right now in theaters. It's also on demand if you want to watch it. So yeah, couple of the reviews that I saw that it's actually a pretty decent story. It's got some good comedy in it. It might be something worth checking out if you're looking for a offbeat comedy.
Nice.
For viewing.
Very, very cool. All right, cool. Well, speaking of movies, did you watch any movies this week?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm going to say no. But people have been telling me, and by people I mean Twitter has been yelling at me, that apparently I should watch the Dahmer on Netflix series.
Emails have been telling me that as well.
I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I should, but it's saying you should watch this. You would like it. Well, maybe.
We'll see.
What about you?
But no movies. No. Nah. Slow week over in these parts. And it's only gonna get slower over here. So yeah, no movies. So I guess that will do it then for the movie section. And that will do it for the Media Boat podcast this week. Thank you, everyone who is listening. Thank you so much for listening and downloading the show. We will have hopefully a live show again soon. I don't know about next week. I remember something's happening next week.
I have something in the afternoon. I think we're good in the morning.
Okay, then maybe we'll be live next week. Who can say? But in the meantime, thank you for joining us. We'll be back no matter what with some sort of show next week where we'll have all the news that's fit to print. Maybe some more playoff news in baseball. Maybe there'll be more TV premieres to talk about, all sorts of things. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, if you want to watch us in video form, what?
I just remember the 2 other shows that I watched that came back.
We'll talk about them next week.
The recurring shows of 911 and Amazing Race, and yes, they're exactly what you think they are.
What you think they are. Okay,
that's
cool.
why I didn't write
Done.
it down. But yes.
Cool. Done. Awesome. Anyway, if you want to watch the video versions of our podcast, you can watch those on YouTube. Search YouTube for our Media Boat podcast. You'll find our channel. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications when we go live. If you want to listen to us in audio form, you can do that too. Just go to search Media Boat Podcast on any of your podcatchers of choice, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen. We're there, even on Spotify. So give us a try. In the meantime, we're also available on social media platforms like Twitter at Media Boatcast is our Twitter handle. Facebook, just search Media Boat Podcast in the search bar. You'll find a page. You can also find us by emailing us. If you have questions, comments, feedback about the show, email us at mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com. We will read your questions on the air if we get them. I'm assuming you're checking that inbox still every week, because I sure am not. So glad one of us is. In the meantime, we'll be back next week. So have a good week, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yep, we'll be back with more news, more thoughts, and more of us.
Yep.
Okay, bye.
Bye.